Hello BookTube. Today I'm going to be doing the Coronavirus Quarantine and Coping tag. It was created by David of the Poptimist, and I will be leaving a link to his channel down below, as well as tagging him in the tags. So, excuse me. I have a little something in my throat. Okay. So question number 1. Where are you and what do your immediate surroundings look like? So, I live in Texas, a suburb of Waco. So first, let's begin with the numbers in Texas itself. So as of yesterday, there have been 21,069 positive tests for coronavirus, and as of yesterday-ish, I guess, 543 people have died. In my home county, it is not wanting to load up. Sorry about that. For some odd reason, well, if I remember, it was, there have been 81 positive tests. 15 are currently active. 61, I think, have recovered, and 4 deaths. Yeah. 81 confirmed cases of coronavirus in McLennan County. 15 are currently active. 62 are being monitored. 62 have recovered, and 4 have died. And 2,394 people have been tested. So, yeah. We're currently under a shelter-in-place order. It's been in effect for over a month now. And I've been at home since then. I've only gotten out a few times to run to the bank to check my account or to put some money in, and then kind of do a little quick walk around the area. And then I had to go to the post office Monday to mail off the rent. And yeah, and Main Street here is not as busy as it usually is, or at least the street. The actual, like, on the sidewalk is about as busy as it's ever been, but which is not very busy. But the street traffic in terms of cars on the road and stuff hasn't been as busy as it usually is, although still concerningly heavy. I'd say locally, the city of Waco and McLennan County in general have done a pretty good job with their handling of the coronavirus pandemic. The governor, I'd say. He's largely left a lot of the response to the cities, which I think to a certain extent probably was a political play. One of his Governor Abbott's favorite tactics is to try to turn the voters' ire against the cities. Primarily the major metropolitan ones: Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, Fort Worth, and I think on into like this mid-range cities like Waco and Killeen and Temple and Abilene. But And given that when you do order, like issue that shelter in place order, to a certain extent, there is a possibility of you becoming the bad guy. You're shutting down the economy, even though, yes, these orders are saving hundreds of lives, if not thousands or millions. They're still being the bad guy in doing that. And I think he was passing the buck off to, yeah, the local communities, which, on the one hand, shifting responsibility, but also I think to a certain extent, yeah, seeing if they can handle it. And I think by and large, at least as far as Waco and McLean County are concerned, they're doing a pretty good job. I think Dallas and Austin are doing pretty good jobs too, but I don't quite follow the news as much up there and down there. So anyway, yeah. Question number 2. What's the most unusual, abnormal thing you've done because of this? Honestly, it should be starting to wear a face mask. But unfortunately, so as I said, I was going to have to go to the post office to get the money order for rent. And I was going to wear a homemade face mask. I have a long sleeved shirt that I would like double up and then tie the arms around my head, and so I could, and it basically turned into a scarf. It did not work at all. So I ended up just going sans face mask. Luckily, there was very few people in there, so I don't think I really should worry. But I did, after that, my brother, or well, before I left for the post office, my brother came by with some mustard. And we gave him some corn and a pre-K activity book for my youngest nephew. And he mentioned this face mask manufacturer that we should look into. So when I got back from the post office, I did, and I ordered a face mask for me and one for my mom. So hopefully they will eventually arrive, and yeah, we can use them. Besides that, really nothing abnormal. I mean, I work from home. I take care of my mom, so I mean, I pretty much, fundamentally, my life really hasn't changed a whole lot from coronavirus. The only problems I've had really are like not going to the library, not going to Golden's Book Exchange, used bookstore in Waco, or really walking as often as I have. I basically pace back and forth here in my room or around the kitchen before I go to bed, which is, yeah, okay too. I get to watch YouTube or something while I'm doing it, which I can't do as I'm walking outside. So, yeah. I mean, I'm still ordering books online, so, yeah. So, in a lot of ways, yeah. Except for, like, the face mask, I think, yeah. I haven't really done anything unusual or abnormal. And soon, probably wearing face masks will become normal and usual. Okay, so question number 3. What's your coping mechanism? I've been, well, reading a lot of nonfiction, a lot of history. Even though I've been turning, I think, more towards reading nonfiction and especially history since late last year. But I'm also kind of getting into a bit of a nostalgia kick. I'm wanting to go back and read a lot of the books I read in college. I'm maybe an increased interest in literary theory and literary criticism, and maybe even turning more towards literary and realistic fiction compared to science fiction and fantasy, which I have pretty much been reading nonstop for years now. So, but again, I also really want to read a lot of history. So, I've also been cooking a lot more. I would, when I got groceries, I would order, because we've been doing grocery deliveries for going on a year and a half, almost 2 years now. Because we did do curbside and then switched to delivery because I don't drive, so really delivery is far more convenient for me to get groceries. Um, but I would order some of those frozen biscuits. But the past 2 weeks, I've decided I could just make my own biscuits, and so I've been using the recipe on the Clabber Girl baking powder uh, container, and yeah, I greatly enjoyed making those biscuits. And like I can freeze them up and reheat them the next day or a few days in advance, and they're pretty good biscuits. So yeah, I mean, cooking, watching Netflix. I've finally gotten back around to watching more Netflix and other things. So yeah. 4. Can you name something that has given you pleasure? Hmm. I'm thinking probably video calls with my brother and the 4 children of the apocalypse, also known as my nieces and nephews. Um, so used to they would come over every week for maybe an hour or so, and sometimes longer if my brother and his wife had an errand to run or just wanted to get away from them for a few hours. And yeah, we really enjoyed having them over, although sometimes they can be a handful, which is why I call them the 4 children of the apocalypse. But given the pandemic, it's wiser for us to be self isolated and them to be largely self isolated. So our only interaction is through video calls about once a week, and they've been quite fun and quite enjoyable. Although the kids have kind of sometimes cycle through and don't really get to talk to some of them as much as we would like. Question number 5. What is something you feel will never be the same after this? Um, hmm. I think probably, hopefully, the environment. Hopefully, um, we take like one of the few positives from all of this is that the environment is as not as much pollution, not as much environmental degradation has gone on since a lot of the shelter-in-place orders and stuff, and hopefully with the expansion of work from home, telecommuting, delivery services, and that sort of thing, that yeah, I mean, less cars will be on the road from here on out. Less heavy traffic will go on from here on out. Um, Also, I'm pretty sure um, coronavirus will probably become a recurring issue, whether as major as it has been at the moment, or if it becomes more like its cousin viruses that have popped up here and there over the past decade or so. Um, yeah, I'd say probably the restaurant industries. Those probably will have to reform. What else? Hopefully, this will be a push for uh, mail voting by mail. Uh, oh yeah, I think that's about all I can think of at the moment. I'll probably think of about 5 or 10 more as I upload this, but that's about all I can think of at the moment. So anyway, I will leave it at that. And thank you, BookTube. Have a great day, and see you tomorrow with weekly reads.